Come with your light.
Hello and welcome to Unity of Las Vegas. My name is Jim Lee and I'm so glad that you were able to join us today. Well, this Sunday is the end of a 3-week series and it is called Living the Change, Being Ambassadors of Humanity's New Cultural Story. So I just want you to know that in week 1, we took a look at a paradigm that we're living in. It is called separation. It is called polar opposites. It's called duality. And what I'm saying is it's time to change. And so there was a song out, I think it was by Three Dog Night. I think it was called You've Got to Change Your Evil Ways. Is that the name of the song? I think that is it. But anyway, so week 2, we took a look at we are not just in this universe, we're one with this universe. And this week, we're looking at a new lens, and it's called radical wholeness, which is so different than duality and separation. So today, we're going to take you through an experience. We got a song. It's by John Jones. It's called The Great Light of the World. I'm so excited about that. We're going to have a little message from me to point you in a direction, and Lisa will take us on home with the clarity of it so we can bring it all together, and then we're going to wrap it up with the prayer. So that's the goal for today. So as we get started, let's have that song by John Jones.
Hey everybody, it's John Jones. Just want to say good morning. Thanks for letting me be here with you today. It's an honor, and I miss you, and I love each and every one of you. And I'm going to do a song today by Bebo Norman, and this is called Great Light of the World. I hope you enjoy.
Sometimes at night I am afraid. I cover my eyes, I cover my pain. So here in the dark, broken apart, come with your light and fill up my heart. Oh, great light of the world, fill up my soul. I'm half a man here, so come make me whole. To fill up my heart. The wind of this world can push us around, folding us up, backing us down. But here in the dark, I'm not alone. So come with your strength and carry me home. So come make me whole. Oh, great light of the world. to fill up my heart.
Living the change. What we're talking about is each and every one of us being ambassadors of humanity's new cultural story. We've got to do this because it's time for this. And I just want you to know that, the Christian movement, along with the Bible, both of them about an evolution of our consciousness. There's been a movement in Christianity for the past several thousand years. And at each level of the consciousness change, it has brought in a new story, a particular point of view. It ushered in a new paradigm for us to live out of. And so in this book by Paul Smith, Integral Christianity, the Spirit's Call to Evolve, he breaks it down. This is my little story about Paul Smith. When I was, he had a ministry in Kansas City, very close to Unity Village, and it was called Broadway Baptist. But believe it or not, most of the ministerial students and just about all of the staff went to this Baptist church of Paul Smith. He was very good. In fact, I went there and I loved him. And so now he breaks it down. He says, let's take a look at this, Christianity. First, to start off, it has included in it a tribal consciousness. Now, this tribal consciousness or paradigm or way of being began about 50,000 years ago. It's fear-based, and in this consciousness, the world is filled with gods and demons, and they could be revengeful. They could be hurting. They could really create havoc. And back then, as I probably understand it, you either had dinner or you were dinner. So there was a reason for this fear base. And so what they did, they set up this idea of just bargaining with God or appeasing this God just so that they can get what they needed or get what they wanted. It reminds me of a young girl named Carol. She asked her mother for a bike for her birthday. She wanted a red bike. And her mother said, I don't know. The reason why her mother said, I don't know, is because she was in and out of trouble all the time. She was always into something. So her mother had a great idea. She says, you know what? Why don't you write a letter to God and ask God, do I really deserve to have this bike? She said, all right. So she went upstairs and she started writing a letter to God, and she said, I've been very good, God, and I want a red bike. Your friend, Carol. She looked at it and she said, all right, that's not really the truth. Then she wrote another one and said, I've been good most of the time, and I want a red bike. And she realized this wasn't getting anywhere. So she was thinking and thinking, how am I going to get God to give me this bike? And then she had a thought. She ran downstairs, talked to her mother and said, look, can I go to church right now? Right now. And her mother said, sure, you can go to church. And when she got out the door, her mother started doing the happy dance. She says, it's working. She's turning to God. This is so good. And little Carol ran down to the church, and when she looked around in the church and she finally saw that what she was looking for, she grabbed a little statue of the Blessed Virgin Mary, took it home, ran upstairs, put it on her desk, and then she decided to write a letter to God. And in this letter, she says, dear God, I got your mama. If you want to see her again, send the bike. Sign, you know who. So that bargaining we incorporated it today. I know that's a bit weird, but we bargain with God. I know I have bargained with God. Admitted you've bargained with God. That's all part of the consciousness, but it's steeped in the separation that God is out there somewhere. And then the next consciousness that came in Christianity was the warrior consciousness. Now this came into existence about 10,000 years ago. God is this awe-inspiring superhero living up in the sky. And this consciousness gave birth to what we call fundamentalism. There is a right and there is a wrong, and I'm right and you're wrong, and I'll fight you for it. And God lives in heaven, but he will come to earth as an avenging warrior, mixed with justice and compassion. So this is the God. And what it reminds me of is a Texas billboard that says, "Don't make me come down there." And so that's the kind of God that we had in that warrior consciousness. Then we evolved. But I want you to know something. We evolved, we transcended, but also we included some things too. We didn't leave everything out. The next evolution is a traditional consciousness. Now this emerged about 5,000 years ago. This is the point of view. I would call it, looks at God as a supernatural being. And he makes all the laws and he makes all the rules. This brought in traditionalists that pretty much say that my God is the one and the true God. It's my way is the only way, and all others are going to hell because they're not following my way. That's the fundamentalist part of you, and I just want you to know unity has a fundamentalist edge to it as well, because I've encountered some people when I first came into unity that said, Course in Miracles, no, we're not having any of that. It is not pure unity, therefore no Course in Miracles. Thank God we evolved out of that. Thank God for Course in Miracles, and I'm so glad that we have it in our ministry. So the next one, the next evolution of consciousness is called the modern church. Now this emerged about 500 years ago. This has a supernatural God. No, just the opposite. It doesn't have a supernatural God. What this says that God is everywhere. God is in nature, and God's nature is good. And with this new evolution of consciousness, prayer is to God or to Jesus, and it is second person, meaning it is right here, it is up close and personal. The next one is the modern consciousness, an expansion that gave way about 250 years ago. And unities, parts of unity is in this group. What they say here is reality is just not something that's objective, but reality is in our minds and we're playing a part of constructing it. God is not a being separate from us, but also is within us. And when we pray in this expanded consciousness, we could pray in the first person as if there's a God in me, I am in God. God is in me as me. Now, the next expansion of consciousness, here we're getting into it now, is the integral. We're getting into this now. This started about 50 to 75 years ago. And unity has some aspects of this too. It says that God is consciousness. And this one integrates everything into the aspects of God. We even look at our shadows and our dark side and fold them into the oneness of consciousness. Then there's expansion and evolution, and it's called the post-integral consciousness. And that is what I would call a radical wholeness. We have evolved to a consciousness where there's no separation. There's only wholeness. There's only what we call unity consciousness everywhere, presence. And so the theme is wholeness is the primary, inescapable nature of reality and the divine. So now we're getting into this thing of wholeness. And I just want you to know that science and everything is proven that everything is seamless and it's interconnected. And in the wholeness that is everywhere present now is another way for us to look at the divine. And it's so challenging because we are so stooped in separation, but it's going to take something for us to elevate and to expand our consciousness. Now I want to talk about a person by the name of Deborah M. Gordon. She's a professor of biology at Stanford University. And a little excerpt from a book that I have here, and it's called, by the way, Radical Wholeness. The harvester ants, oh, by the way, she specializes in the harvester ants, are totally incompetent. They're not very smart. However, collectively, these ants have a sophisticated intelligence that enables them to make gardens, organize defenses against attacks, and engineer and build elaborate structures. Deborah speaks of observing a colony of ants just before the summer monsoons. And she noticed that a small group of ants began building like a little wall, like a little fortress around the entrance of the nest. It was an effective, and I would say a very efficient structure that she noticed. So when the rains came, believe it or not, the structure kept the puddles of water from coming in to their nest. Now, she noticed something. There was nobody in charge. The single ant did not have a capability of building that. They had no knowledge of what to build. They've never done it before. It seems as though they attuned to an intelligence, to a natural world that was all around them that made up the composite energy of all of them. Now, check this out. No one was in charge. No management. The queen is not even in charge of these ants. They responded because of another intelligence that came about orchestrated by wholeness and oneness. Now, I know we're steeped in this consciousness of separation and detachment, and there doesn't seem like there is a wholeness or unity to anything. And we think that unity and wholeness is an illusion. That's not the case. Separation is the illusion. So this is time now for us to take the next step, because there's an infinite intelligence and a wisdom and wholeness that we need right now. Have you noticed the environment? Have you noticed our political system? Have you noticed I would call the racial issues? Have you noticed the religious clashing? Have you noticed? It is time for us to take on a new way of being. Now, this wholeness that I'm talking about, it excludes nothing. It is separate from nothing. Everything belongs to it, but also everything is influenced by it. Now, this new way of thinking and being is a hero's and a shero's journey. This is not a little thing that we're undertaking. It's a process to really affect our whole way of being. It's actually a revolution in consciousness that we're talking about, but it's our next step. This journey into wholeness is exactly what this planet needs. It's crying out for it. Everything, though, is conspiring to bring about a change. So now this is how we will do it. At least it will take you into it a little deeper. So these are some things that I just want you to take in to your consciousness. You don't even have to memorize them. You don't have to write them down. Just take it in. It's natural to tap into this wholeness, seamlessness that's everywhere present. The first thing I want you to do is breathe. Simply breathe in and out and just notice the exchange. Our breath is primary. We can go a period of time without food. We can go a period of time without water. We can't go very long without air. It's really important to us. And so to connect to the wholeness, our entry point is just to breathe. But breathe deeply and breathe not only through your lungs, but feel like you're breathing through your entire body. Then that leads you to the next phase, which will automatically to rest, relax, and resensitize. It's the 3 R's. Rest, relax, and resensitize. Simply just let go and go to have your center of awareness located in your body, not in your head. And as you do, relax into this present moment. That's all you have to do. Accept everything just as it is. Don't fight. Don't resist. Just relax. And then the next thing that we're going to do is be receptive. We give energy. I mean, you just think about it. You just give all the time. You go to work, you give. We interchange with people, we give. We just give, give, give. This is an opportunity to reverse all of that. Relax and receive. And allow the awareness of everything that's around us, like the ants that were able to tap into an intelligence that was bigger than them. That's what we're tuning into. Then the next thing, we're just going to integrate everything into the wholeness of the self. And when we probably do this, the mind will say, I don't feel anything. You didn't really do that. And the mind is right. It didn't do this. We're going into another door, and that is your way of being, and it bypasses the intellect. So now we're being informed by something else other than the ego and something other than our normal way of thinking. And so as we do this now, we're ready and receptive to change our consciousness into tapping into the wholeness. It's challenging. I've been working at this for a while. And I would say when I take a look at it, it was challenging for me to really let go of the mental way of thinking because I was trained. Use the mind. Analyze everything. Be critical of everything. If it doesn't line up with reasoning, it needs to be destroyed. In fact, I analyzed stuff so much that I even doubted the existence of God. God wasn't even on my radar for several years. Now that I look back at it, I had a new awareness. Now that I see that whole time that I was out, that I wasn't in harmony with God, that I was totally think that I was an isolated, separate entity, and that the things were against me. As I look back at it now, I was being guided and directed the entire time. And I just want you to know, right now, you're in the right place, at the right time, doing the right thing. Let's open up to prayer. Let's open up to different ways of tapping into the divine. Let's change our life. Let's change the world. Lisa's now going to take us to the next level.
When I was a little girl, I had my very own personal star. And I could see the star from my bedroom window. I felt that it had been put there just for me. And there was a sense of it being a symbol of me as a light in a huge vastness of the sky, teeming with magical experiences. And when I looked up at that star, there was a sense of God being right there with me and in me, and that I was remembered and cherished and not forgotten in my smallness. I didn't have a concept of a right way to experience God. So God was part of me. God was next to me. And out there in this magnificent, magical cosmos. And all of those ways of being with God felt natural and easy to me as a child. So some religious traditions have a very strong preference for one way over another of how we are with God. Traditional Christianity, where there is a belief in original sin, the second person relationship with God was favored over any other. So you were to pray to God out there. And the idea of having a divine nature personally was heretical. So then when I came into New Thought, which was based on original blessing versus original sin, the emphasis is just the opposite. This first person relationship is the most valid, really tapping into your own identity directly as a divine. So you pray from an inner knowing of deep connection with the divine and not to a God out there. So Paul Smith, as Jim was just referencing, really wrote a really magnificent book called Is Your God Big Enough? Close Enough? You Enough? In which he shares that all of these ways of relating to God are needed for the fullest possible experience with the divine. So this includes this first person relationship, really honoring our own divine nature and identity. It includes the second person, which is having an intimate relationship with God as friend, brother, sister, guide. And it includes this third person relationship of being aware of the cosmos, the vastness of God and the great mystery. He calls these three God beyond us, God beside us, and God being us. So after being in unity for so long, I felt that reintroducing this second person, this God beside us, which includes praying to God, was a kind of betrayal of the basic unity principles. But Paul points out that surrender can only happen in this second person relationship. And through regular surrendering, the ego part of us learns its rightful place, that it is a servant and not a leader. And in the second person is this mystical beloved relationship, this deep love that we so long for in our humanity. So in this way, we learn how to identify with our largeness, how to get ourselves out of the way when we need to, and how to live with awe and curiosity with the great mystery. And this creates fertile soil for our souls as we take on the role of living this change and of becoming ambassadors of humanity's next cultural story. So for our meditation today, I invite you just to find a very comfortable way of being, either seated in a chair or laying down, and just begin automatically to take a few deep breaths in and out and bring your attention to this breath. And notice in this breathing that you're beginning to really harmonize and regulate all parts of your being. Your physical body, with your mind, with your emotions. and your spirit. So just imagine now yourself as a star in the cosmos. Imagine your luminosity and your brightness. And every breath you're taking, notice that you are making more of yourself. You are becoming more luminous, more brilliant. And notice that you're beginning, as you are becoming more and more of yourself, radiating out to all of the universe and having a beautiful sense of oneness with everything. It is in your very nature to shine. There is an ease and a beautiful grace in your luminosity. And Rumi says, we are stars wrapped in skin. The light you are seeking has always been within. Now breathe in this awareness of this divine light that you are, letting it wash over you and through you as a living truth. Now imagine yourself as this star, one among billions, extending out beyond your sight and awareness, out into infinity. See this universe as magical and deeply interconnected. Each moment contains an element of surprise, brimming with new possibilities. Yet you are experiencing a deep trust of all that is unknown, all that is yet to be, this great mystery. Rumi says, behind every atom hides an infinite universe. So breathe in this infinite universe. Breathe in its vastness, both existing inside of time and space and outside of time and space. And see yourself being playful and curious about all that is unknown to you. So imagine yourself as a star in this cosmos now, in the center of the universe. Imagine yourself inside of a large cosmic hug. And be aware of your uniqueness. There is no other star in the universe exactly like you. And sense yourself being held by a loving wisdom in which you are deeply seen and known. You're nurtured and protected, guided and loved. Rumi says, the moment I first heard love, I gave up my soul, my heart, and my eyes. Take a few deep breaths, breathing in this deep love, and sense an ease of surrender to this beloved. And sense the fullness of God beyond us, the fullness of God being us, and the fullness of God beside us. For this is the way it really is.
Thank you, Lisa. We are swimming in this essence of Rumi, the moment I first heard love. I gave up my soul, my heart, and my eyes. We should now just surrender into that and just let this whole process just wash over us, become us, so that we can relate to the entire universe, to ourselves differently. Ah, yes. So thank you for joining us. We're here for you. If you have prayer requests or needs, I just want you to know all you've got to do is contact our office and just let us know your prayer request. either Don or I can receive them and pray over them for you. Also, you can contact me if you're standing in need of any counseling. So we're here at Unity of Las Vegas just for you. And since we're here for you, we're not funded by Coke or Pepsi or anything like that. Great products, but the only way we're here is because of you and the Almighty. So contribute and feed to us with your generosity of love and prayers and financial support so that we can keep on doing what we're doing. You can donate via text, telephone, send the money in through the mail. We accept it all. But the whole thing is this: we love you, and we certainly appreciate who you are. So let's close out now with our prayer for protection. And it's simply this: the light of God surrounds us. We are the light of God. The love of God enfolds us. We are the love of God. The power of God protects us. We are the power of God. The presence of God watches over us. We are the presence of God. Wherever we go, wherever we do, just know that God is there and all is well. That's the truth. God bless you.
Oh, great light of the world, fill up my soul. I'm half a man here, so come make me whole. Oh, great light of the world, come to impart the light of your grace to fill up my heart. The wind of this world can push us around, folding us up, backing us down. But here in the dark, I'm not alone. So come with your strength and carry me home. Oh, great light of the world, fill up my soul. I'm half a man here, so come make me whole.